One seat position, no adjustment. She's not my size, and I'm not hers. Force USA sent us this machine, and we spent 5 weeks putting that to the test.
And because we know you've been shopping this category for a while, we went through the comment sections of every major leg extension review on YouTube. We pulled the questions people kept asking over and over. We're going to answer as many of them as we can throughout this video, starting now.
So before we get into the machine itself, let's get the disclosure out of the way before I throw up. And we're gonna do it differently than everyone else does it. We reached out to Force USA because we wanted the machine and we wanted to review it. They provided it at no cost. That's the arrangement. We're not gonna stand here and promise you we're gonna be honest, because if you need us to say that, you've already decided not to trust us. Here's what we'll say instead. This is our 4th dedicated leg machine. The Gronk, the Bulletproof Isolator, the GMWD LE08, 3 machines that came into this gym with the full intent of keeping them, 3 machines that are gone. If you're doing the math, that should tell you more about our credibility than any disclaimer ever could.
And if you're new here and you want to see what we do with the machines we actually keep, hit subscribe. We put 2 real people through every piece of equipment we review. That's the whole thing.
If you're watching this video, you probably know you want one. We're just here to make that decision a little bit easier for you. We've owned 4 dedicated leg machines before this one. 3 of them are gone. This replaced all of them. And this is the only review of the machine that exists anywhere. We're gonna show you exactly why we think that's about to change. What we are going to do is tell you how we got here, because we didn't start with this. Our first dedicated leg machine was the Gronk Fitness Leg Extension. We bought it based on a Coop review where we compared it to the Titan plate-loaded version. Then we found the Bulletproof Isolator with a tri-stand on Facebook Marketplace for $500. And if you know what that is, you understand why we bought it immediately. If you don't, it's a rack attachment system that a lot of people in the home gym community love. But after the Isolator, we went with the GMWD LE08 2.0. A lot of people in this community consider it the best budget leg extension option available. And honestly, for what it costs, they're not wrong.
We sold it when this arrived.
We did, and here's why. The Gronk, the Isolator, the LE08, 3 different machines, 3 different designs, 3 different price points. You know what they all had in common?
Loading plates.
Loading plates. Every single time, before the set, after the set, switching between extension and curls, just loading plates. That is what we were done with. And that is why this machine is in our gym currently. Now, before we get into the Solitude itself, here is where it sits in the market. Because context matters when you're spending over $2,000 on anything. The Titan Selectorize is a machine most people in this space have seen reviewed multiple times. That's sitting at $28.99. The Maxim LEC2 is around $22.50. Temple of Gains has a following in this community and sits at a similar range. BFit Now has an option at $24.99. Then this Force USA Solitude is $22.99. We've not used any of the other machines, so we're not going to compare them to something we haven't put in this gym. What we can tell you is that what 5 weeks on the machine felt like for 2 completely different bodies. That's the review. One more thing worth saying, some of the machines in this category are white labeled, sourced from manufacturers, branded, and sold with a markup for the convenience of having a real company behind it. That's not necessarily bad. Force USA is not that. They have retail locations, they have an engineering team, and when we had a technical question about this machine mid-review, we emailed them and got a detailed answer from their engineering department. That matters when you're spending $2,300. So it showed up in a wooden crate.
Which is still in the driveway.
It's staying because we're gonna use it for B-roll. But yeah, wooden crate. If you've ordered enough gym equipment, you know that already tells you something. You know, assembly was mostly fine. There's a section where the cables have to route through the frame, and that part was a bit annoying. You know, the cable keeps catching.
And some words were used.
Some words were said, but honestly, overall, it's really straightforward. If you've ever built a functional trainer, This might actually be easier. That one section just needs a little bit of patience. Now, for anyone with a basement gym wondering if you can get it down there, we didn't film assembly because our gym is in our living room. But we moved every piece through a standard American hallway in an old colonial and through 3 standard doorways. It fit. If your doorways are normal size, you're fine. So first thing we both noticed when it was assembled, plastic shrouds.
Full plastic, both sides.
And look, we don't love exposed rack leg extensions. They never look finished. But we went in expecting metal shrouds and we got plastic. And our first reaction was, honestly, did we just make a mistake?
It looked cheap to us at first.
It did. Standing next to a $2,300 price tag, that was a gut punch moment. And then we thought about it. We had the GetRx Viper in here. Links below. That thing has metal shrouds. And the metal shrouds are great on a cable tower because you're touching them constantly. You're hanging attachments. Using the magnetic storage makes total sense there.
When do you ever touch the shrouds on a leg extension machine?
Exactly. You sit down, you train, you get up. Nobody's putting their hands on the sides of a leg extension. So the plastic makes sense. It's lighter. It protects the mechanism, and honestly,
it looks really good.
It looks great. And this is a living room gym, so that matters. One more thing worth mentioning. When you're only using the top plate, there's no extra hole to park the pin. It just dangles. So if we were Adrian Gluck, we'd make a whole thing out of that, but we're not Adrian. And like him, we don't do leg work with one plate ever. The magnetic selector pin, love it. You just drop it in and it locks. No fiddling around mid-set. So let's talk about the padding a little bit. The rollers are 5 inches, back pad's just under 3, the seat pad is just under 2.5, firm foam, thick vinyl, really comfortable.
The leg rollers especially, they're comfortable, but they don't compress a lot, which is actually what you want. You don't want the roller sinking under load.
Firm support is the right call on a leg machine, and the vinyl's smooth, it's not grippy.
Which, if you're training in shorts, matters way more than people realize. Sweaty legs on grippy vinyl is uncomfortable in every possible way, especially for you guys and girls who don't shave your legs.
Smooth is what you want on a leg machine, and it's got it. Adjustments are pop pin, simple, quick, no tools. Dimensions. It's 69 inches long, 43 inches wide, and 58 inches tall. The footprint does not change meaningfully between extension and curl mode, so what you see is what you get regardless of which movement you're set up for. The weight stack is 222 pounds, moves in 11-pound increments. Kilograms are listed too. The stickers you apply yourself, which is standard, and you can easily read the numbers through the shroud opening, so you always know where you are. Now, it's a 1-to-1 ratio. What you select is what you feel, with a twist we're going to get into in the next chapter.
There's a cup holder and a storage shelf on top. Phone, remote, whatever. Small things, but you notice it every single session.
So that's what it looks like. What it actually does mechanically is a different conversation entirely. Okay, we promised you a reality check on that 1-to-1 claim, and guess what? Here it is. Before we filmed this video, I did something I haven't seen many other reviewers do in this category. I put a digital crane scale on the roller and measured the actual tension at the ankle while the machine was under load. This isn't perfect lab data. The reading moves depending on how steady you are and exactly where you measure. We kept things as consistent as possible though. 22 pounds on the stack, 29 pounds at the roller after 1 inch of travel, 40 pounds at the halfway point, and about 70 pounds at full extension. So no, this is not a 1-to-1 machine in the way most people hear that phrase. The cam is building load progressively through the rep.
And that is why it's more than 22 pounds.
At full extension, we measured more than 3 times the force of that point in the movement versus what the stack says. And that changes the whole conversation about whether 222 pounds is enough for stronger lifters. Now, before the math guys jump in the comments with your calculators, you cannot just multiply every weight on the stack by 3. Physics don't work that way, and nobody ever explains why.
Tell them why we stuck with the 22 pounds. pounds?
Well, because trying to hold a scale steady at full extension with 100 pounds on the stack is a nightmare. The machine is fighting you that hard. We could have needed probably 3 more hands and a prayer to get a clean reading.
I did, and it was a mess.
It was. So 22 pounds gave us the clean data. But here's what you need to know. As the stack gets heavier, cable tension goes up and the cam has less mechanical advantage against it. The multiplier compresses. Now the geometry of the cam stays the same, but in a real world between friction, cable stretch, and how hard the machine is fighting you, that 3 times multiplier doesn't feel quite as extreme once you start pinning the whole stack.
So it's always harder than the label says, just not triple every time.
Exactly. After 5 weeks on this machine, I can tell you that at every weight setting, it has felt significantly heavier than the number on the stack, especially near full extension. The cam is doing real work here.
The bottom line, if you're worried 222 pounds won't be enough for your leg extensions, trust me, it's plenty.
And before someone asks, technically you could add a gym pin, but the shrouds make it awkward. And honestly, after understanding how this cam works, you're not going to need one. Now, here's the second thing nobody has talked about. Look at where the cable connects to the roller arm on this machine. On the Titan, the Maxim, the BFit Now, every other machine in this category, the cable attaches to the side of the lever arm, one side, which means the load is pulling from one lateral point. Your leg closest to that attachment is working against a slightly different force vector than your other leg. It's subtle. None of these machines are bad because of it, but it is there. The Solitude drives the roller from the center. The cable connects to a rounded cam at the midpoint of the roller arm, centered between your legs. Both legs are equidistant from the load path on every single rep. No lateral bias, no dominant side being loaded differently than the other.
So I'm sorry, equidistant?
Yeah, both legs are the same distance from where the cable pulls. In layman's terms, that means the machine isn't secretly giving one leg more work than the other.
Why didn't you just say that?
I don't know.
Both legs doing the same work then.
Both legs doing the same work every rep. That's not a small thing if you care about balanced development, and it's one of the reasons we haven't felt or seen any flex in that roller arm under load. The center drive distributes the force evenly across the full width of the arm. You know, we searched for a comparable machine on Alibaba. We couldn't find one. Now look, this thing is almost certainly built in China, like 99% of everything else in this space, but it's not the obvious white label clone that you typically see floating around the home gym community. This design is different enough that we couldn't source it in a common pool. That's worth something. Whether that means something to you or not is your call. What we can tell you is what it feels like to train on it. And that's the next chapter. Okay, 5 weeks on the machine. Here's what leg extensions actually feel like on the Solitude. My working weight depends on what I'm training for that day. If my knees are bothering me, I'm doing higher reps, 100 pounds on the stack is plenty. If I want lower reps for more power stimulus, I'll add weight. But for controlled hypertrophy work, I'm essentially using about half the stack.
Half the stack on a machine people are worried doesn't have enough weight.
Half the stack. Remember what we just showed you about what that cam is doing. Half the stack on this machine is not half the stack on a standard one-to-one machine. The movement's smooth, no grinding, no binding anywhere in the arc. The center drive we talked about in that last chapter is something you actually feel when you train on it. Both legs are working the same way every rep. After years on plate-loaded machines where you're always wondering if one side's doing more than the other, it is a noticeable difference. Starting position gives you a decent stretch at the bottom. Could it be a touch deeper? Sure. But in our experience, a touch deeper is usually better, and we stand by that in all contexts.
We're talking about the machine, right?
Absolutely. We're talking about the machine. Knee alignment on this machine is generally well done. The pivot point sits where it should relative to your knee joint. Biomechanically, Force USA got this one right. Now, we mentioned in a hook that there's one C position, and at her size, it's wrong. Mine, it fits pretty good, but we're gonna give you an honest answer for short users. Perrin's 5'5". She uses a Yes for All balance pad about $20 on Amazon. The link's below. She puts it behind her back on the seat and it brings her forward just enough to align her knees with the pivot point. Problem solved for $20.
$20. Took 5 minutes to figure it out, and I haven't thought about it since.
I'm 5'11" and the machine fits me as well as is. For taller users, we emailed Force USA directly and Sam confirmed 6'2" works well. Use a leg roller adjustment and you're dialed in. And speaking of leg roller adjustments, there are 2 adjustment points on this machine for a reason. The position of the roller on your shins matter. They both adjust by pop pins. So taller lifters will have different positions than shorter ones. Take 2 minutes to set it up right, and it's a completely different experience than just sitting down and going for it. There's no flex in the roller arm. 5 weeks, we've never felt it, never saw it. The center drive distributes the load across the full width of the arm, and it shows. You know, one of the most asked about questions in every leg extension comment section is whether the crossbar gets in the way at the bottom of the movement. On some machines, your feet will hit on your way down and it kills your stretch. On the Solitude, the crossbar sits between your legs. It runs vertically, not across your path. Your heels never touch it. You're high enough up that it is completely out of the way throughout the full range of motion.
That is not true on every machine in this category, though.
It is not, and it does matter. Now, before we get into the accessories, I want to address something that comes up in every single leg extension comment section, the stretch debate. Do I believe in the stretch? Yes. Lengthening load, training through a full range of motion, I'm on board with all of that. But my honest opinion is that 99% of the people are gonna see the exact same results from a good, clean range of motion as they would from chasing an extreme stretch. It's not gonna make or break you.
It becomes a whole thing online, though.
It has. And my favorite part of that whole thing, a lot of people mostly obsessed with the stretch specifically bought machines that are known for having great stretch. And then went out and bought accessories to get even more stretch out of them.
So they bought a stretch machine, and then they bought more stretch for that stretch machine.
They did. And we respect the commitment. We actually have those same accessories, and we'll show you which ones work on the Solitude right now. But that said, if you do want more range of motion at the bottom, there are 3 options on the market right now worth knowing about. The most popular one in the home gym community is probably the Hustler Pad. It wraps around your shin roller and adds about 3 inches of stretch at the bottom. It's a great product, does not work on the Solitude. The center drive roller geometry is different from a standard side-mounted machine, and the Hustler Pad is not compatible.
Which we found out the hard way.
The one we actually use on the Solitude is the Quad ROM. It works with the center drive design, adds stretch at the bottom. We'll put the link down below. The third option is a Torque Gear quad extension seat component. This one actually works differently from the other 2. Instead of adding foam to the shin roller, it sits under your knees on the seat pad and angles your legs slightly upward. It changes the knee over hip alignment and the moment arm rather than mechanically extending the range. It's Instagram only right now, not on their site yet, but we'll be bringing it in and we'll report back.
3 options. One works on this machine out of the box, one doesn't, and one we haven't fully tested yet.
That's the honest answer. Links to all 3 will be below.
Okay, this is what switching from extension to curl actually looks like in real time. That's it. Pop pins, no tools, no plates, and I adjust the roller to where it needs to be for the curl, and I'm ready to go.
For anyone who has ever changed weights between extensions and curls on a plate-loaded machine, you know why this matters.
My working weight on the curls is 33 pounds. On extensions, I'm at 66, which sounds light until you remember what Jeff showed you in chapter 5 about what this cam is actually doing. And honestly, I'll say this here. Even knowing what the cam is doing, when I sit down and select 33 pounds on a machine that goes to 222, there's a part of my brain that feels like I'm not lifting enough. Even though I can feel it working, it's a mental thing, and I think other people will feel it too.
Yeah, the stacked number is not the load.
I know. My brain still doesn't love it though. The lying position is comfortable. The roller sits where it needs to. I'm not fighting the setup on any rep. And after 5 weeks, I have not once felt like the machine was working against me on the curl. One thing worth mentioning, when you're in curl mode, the seat angles down slightly to create the right arc for the hamstring movement. That's by design, and it works well for curls. But it also means if you try to do extensions in that configuration, the change in pitch kills the stretch at the starting position. Extensions and curls each have their own setup for a reason, so don't skip it.
That said, something like the torque seat component, when it comes out, could potentially make lying extensions in curl mode viable if you add some back support. We'll test it when we bring it in and report back to you.
The handles are in a solid position for both exercises. You're not reaching for anything awkwardly. They're just there when you need them.
The lying curl puts the hamstring in a lengthened position because of the hip extension. Whether that matters to you or not is your call, but it's not nothing. Perrin's Hamstrings had some opinions about this machine from week 1.
Opinions is a polite way for putting it.
She means she was sore.
I was sore. Every week. That's my 5-week verdict on the lying curl. My hamstrings know they did the work every single time. Done.
5 weeks. Here's what actually changes when you live with this machine. No plates. That's the whole thing. I want to train, not manage equipment. I want to sit down, select weight. I want to go. I want to change weight mid-set. That's done. Switch movements, done. No friction. After 3 plate-loaded machines, that is not a small thing.
I never once thought about plates, not once. That alone makes it my favorite machine we've ever owned for legs.
Aesthetically, I love it. We train in our living room. The shrouding, the clean lines, it looks like it belongs here.
The cup holder.
The cup holder, every session. One honest frustration?
Is the back seat.
Not adjusting. The fix works. We both moved on, but it's the one thing we could change if we could.
Force USA knows this. I just wish I didn't need the fix.
But overall verdict?
Favorite leg machine we have owned by a lot. I hate hamstring curls. This is the least hateful version of them I have ever done, and that's my 5-week verdict.
This is the only pin-loaded leg extension and curl machine we've tested. So we're not going to stand here and tell you it's the best one on the market because we haven't used them all. What we can tell you is that after 5 weeks, this machine has earned a permanent spot in this gym. That is not something we say about every piece of equipment that we bring in here. The center drive mechanics are a genuine nice touch. Both legs loading the same way every rep with no lateral bias, no flexing a roller arm under load. That is not something you get on every machine in this category, and you feel it when you train on it. The aesthetics matter to us. Clean lines, full shrouding, it looks finished in a living room gym. If you care about that, this machine delivers it. It's pin loaded, no plates. 5 weeks, and we have not once missed loading a plate on a leg machine.
Not once.
The question we know that is coming is Temple of Gains versus this machine. We've not used the Temple of Gains, so we're not going to compare them. What we will say is that Yoni, the owner, is genuinely great. He's always tweaking and improving his equipment, and that machine has a real and deserved following in this community. If you're considering both, go read those reviews. We can only speak to what has been in this gym. So the Titan Selectorize is $600 more. We've not used that either. What we can tell you is that the Force USA as a company has earned our trust. Their engineering team answering our questions directly. They've got retail locations. They have real infrastructure, and they stand behind their products. We would trust Force USA over Titan any day, and that is an honest position. This machine is a great option if you're looking for a pin-loaded leg extension and curl. You value clean aesthetics, and you appreciate a machine that is well engineered rather than just spec heavy on paper.
If you care about not loading your plates, this is the answer.
So who is this not for? If you're the kind of person who needs everything to be perfect, the perfect stretch, the perfect adjustability, zero compromises, and you have no interest in finding simple workarounds when something is not quite right, then honestly, this machine and most home gym equipment is probably not for you. The fixed seat has an easy fix. The stretch has an accessory solution. But if you need perfect out of the box with no adaptation, you're going to be frustrated.
That's just real.
Force USA provided this machine at no cost. We reached out to them because we wanted it. That is the arrangement. We told them what we found, including the things we'd changed. They listened. That is what a good brand relationship looks like, and we're happy to say that on camera.
If this video helped you, hit subscribe. We put 2 real people through every piece of equipment we bring into this gym. That is the whole channel.
Links to the Force USA Solitude and everything we mentioned in this video are below. Thanks for watching.